Hey everybody, this is Perch, and I'm here with Ryan. How you doing, Ryan?
Doing good.
Well, it's been a long time. We walked through Superman like it feels like months ago. Probably because it was months ago.
Yeah, we've been meaning to do Superman 2 in our we're trying to work our way to the best movie in the DC universe, which is of course Superman 3.
Exactly.
Um, but we got to get through Superman 2, which is probably the second best movie in the DC universe.
Probably so. So we went back. It's kind of sad to say it that way, but no, it's true. I went back and watched this. You recently watched this as well. How did it hold up for you?
It's not bad. I mean, it's kind of the same as the first one, maybe a little bit more action, but there's just a lot of nonsensical Superman powers, and
Sure.
I don't know. The Zod stuff is all kind of weird, and like they also have weird powers, and what are they doing, and why are they doing what they do? And Lois is very weird, and
Oh, sure.
yeah, everything's weird about this, but it's all in the context of the '70s. It all makes sense somehow.
Which is where, so I have to ask now, there's some history behind this film. Which version did you watch? You watched the original? Did you watch the Richard Donner cut? Which version did you go with?
I watch whatever's on HBO Max. So I don't know if that's the I think that I mean I seem to remember some different scenes, so I'm assuming there's some sort of difference on it, but I don't know whose version this is.
Well, there's a small possibility that it's like a third version of, of the whole thing. We don't exactly, there was some weird history behind this. And okay, from what I understand, it is not the Richard Donner cut, but it is something else. But again, who knows? It's strange. The question, the history behind this. So first of all, I don't know if you remember this, but Superman 1 and 2 were actually filmed at the same time, and they were filmed kind of all as one kind of big movie. And Donner was putting all this together back in '77. So this filmed simultaneously, and then Richard Donner gets taken off the film kind of right after Superman 1 was released in '78. He was fired as a director, but he'd done a lot. Richard Lester comes in and reshoots a bunch of things, but a bunch of members of the cast and crew declined to return in the wake of his fire, leading to a really weird thing.
Do you know what other movie Richard Lester directed?
No, what else has he done?
Hard Day's Night by the Beatles.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. I mean, he's done some other movies, but it's a really weird filmography. I don't know.
That seems like a very strange choice to come in and take over for Superman.
Yeah.
But it's like, so Gene Hackman refused to return for reshoots, so he had a stunt double and an impersonator to do his lines. And then there were a handful of others that had been done, but it's actually amazing going back and watching it. Knowing this history, you can see some of the weird elements. I think that's a little bit what you're referring to. There's definitely parts of this movie that seem really clunky, and it seems like that's why.
Yeah, I can see that.
It made 190 million, cost 54. So this is 1980s money. So that's a huge success, basically. And it basically features it picks up on that plot thread of the General Zod and Ursa and Non trapped in the hula hoops and being blasted off through the big stadium courthouse that we talked so much about in the previous movie.
Right. So I thought that in the first movie, when they launched the nuclear missile out into space, that missile was the one that broke them out. But the version I saw, there was a Paris terrorist attack.
Right.
So I mean, I'm assuming that's always been the way it happened, but
it's hard to say. Like I said, they have gone back and forth with it, but that was.
I feel like if you stitch the movies together, you could just get rid of the Paris part and then just have it, come together like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Seems weird to have two nuclear missiles or two nuclear, warheads two nuclear bombs at the same time.
Well, it was the '80s, and those things were all over the place. So
Yeah, I mean, Superman 4 has nuclear missiles all over the place.
yeah, everybody had missiles.
Yeah,
So it was all
it's
good.
the 80s.
Yeah, '80s. So they go. So basically, yeah, the movie starts up. You hit upon it earlier. There was a lot more action in this one. The first one, I mean, one of the most notable things that you notice is that it takes a long time for them to get to any Superman in the first one. Like an hour or more in, I think, before you
Yeah,
really get to Superman. And then there's almost no action in the first one. So this one, they definitely there was a lot more action.
right. So there's the Paris scene where there's terrorists and when back in the time when you could make fun of terrorists, blowing up Paris with a nuclear bomb. Um, and then they have like the French nuns,
Mm.
and Lois is of course in the middle of the whole thing somehow.
How were you clear about how she got there? I mean, I'm just thinking now. I mean, it's the newspaper. There's a problem there, but she somehow flies over and gets on the scene kind of immediately.
She
How?
she got on a Concorde,
Yeah,
and so obviously the thing had been going on for I guess less than 8 hours, and she flew over, and then she snuck through the security line, and then walked up the stairs, and then got on the elevator, and then they blew up the elevator, and then Superman got over there, in
well, of
less
course.
than 8 hours. I mean, I don't know what took Superman so long, but he got there, 8 hours later, and then was able to throw the bomb into outer space.
Yeah, the whole thing seems very suspect. Like the timing always bothered me at the time. Like, how did Lois get there, and then why wasn't Superman there earlier? Like, how did Lois beat Superman over to
Yeah,
Paris? Like
yeah,
that's and if it's like he wasn't paying attention, then he's kind of a big idiot, right? I mean, he's supposed to be protecting the planet, but they've got a nuclear bomb on the Eiffel Tower. It seems like that would be something Superman would want to pay attention to, but
yeah.
he was just watching TV. I don't know what's
Right.
made.
Yeah, yeah. So he throws the bomb in outer space, and then
Yep.
that frees the Phantom Zone. And this goes back to our discussion of the Phantom Zone and how this is really just a terrible prison to just throw your space junk into outer space, and that it can be just easily broken, and then you have your criminals just running around space, and then they just outlive your planet, by
Yeah.
millions of years. Um,
It's pretty unclear to me, like this whole prison. Like, is it in the comics? Of course, it's a whole dimension. There's a world and all this kind of stuff there with the Phantom Zone. But here, it's just like is it a portal into another world? Are they just kind of hanging out at the mirror and just waiting for a bomb to set them free? Like they're like what are they doing? Where do they go to the bathroom in that thing?
yeah, well, into the Phantom Zone, obviously.
Sure. You're right. It is a terrible prison, though. I mean, like if an asteroid just kind of comes by, it floats into us. Like, what happens if that thing just floats into the sun? Like, is it just kind of hanging out there? What
Or
is this?
what happens if it floats into a yellow sun? I mean, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
clearly they would know about yellow suns. As we've established, they knew that he would have yellow sun powers.
Yeah.
So uh, why didn't they just move to a yellow sun planet in the first place?
Why didn't they put everybody on Krypton into the Phantom Zone and then like hitch it to the back of the little satellite that the boy was in and just fly to the whole population over to a yellow sun and then let everybody out and they could rebuild?
Yeah, not, we've already established that nothing on Krypton makes any sense.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes, that's
Yeah,
true. So they
right.
get out and they immediately decide to just mess up some astronauts.
Well, right. So they are as surprised. They are surprised that they have powers,
Yeah.
because this is the first time that, because now they're like, hey, we have powers. So they mess up these astronauts, and this is how we know that the moon landing was not faked, because this is just some terrible effects. And this was filmed 10 years after the moon landing, so obviously it's just terrible effects.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that is true. That does shoot down any theory that this stuff was fake.
right.
But
I mean, it's not Kubrick 2001, but I mean, still, it's a major motion picture, and they're not even trying. So it's just terrible.
but meanwhile, back on Earth, Lois.
But they do just murder. They just straight up murder some astronauts, and it is kind of chilling for like a family picture.
Yeah, that is true. Actually, it is. This is. I'm trying to think. I mean, the Superman did have this. It's a family movie, but we had Lois crushed to death in the first one, and in this one, they just fly up to space and casually kill like 3 people, right?
Yeah, I mean, they just throw them off into space and they suffocate and all that stuff. Yeah, it's not great.
No, no. It's. I mean, people are getting after Zack Snyder, but this was some rough stuff.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, so back home, Lois is showing some signs of cleverness. Right? She started to suspect that maybe Clark is Superman.
Yeah. So they let's see, what did they do next? They go to Niagara Falls. They go
Right.
to the honeymoon. They're on some sort of a honeymoon racket investigative piece. So they have to pose as a married couple or a newlyweds, which seems
Dodgy.
well. I mean, she goes from like covering terrorists trying to blow up Paris to a honeymoon racket in Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of beat. Again, the Daily Planet, they got their reporters all over the place.
what is the beat of the Daily Planet exactly? Is it's the New York Times, but they're going to cover headline news, nuclear bomb in Paris and Niagara Falls marriage school. Like what exactly did you ever really get a sense like what was this wedding racket? I could never get an under. I watched the movie again. I was trying to pay it like what exactly was the story they were trying to cover? Like I cannot tell at all what was the crime there exactly. I could not figure that out.
I don't know. I do like the bellhop in the. Did you catch him? He's doing some work. He's like out of a Muppet movie or something.
Oh sure.
Yeah, he's doing some work.
There's a lot of people in this movie who, in the background, are really like trying to pad their resumes.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, do you feel like there was a lot of Niagara Falls content, like up until like about 1980, like from like 1930 to 1980, and then it just kind of went away?
That was a big deal. Like, and I've been to Niagara Falls, and it's not that impressive.
It really sucks. I mean, there's a casino on the Canadian side, and that's about it. I mean, there is a big waterfall. I mean, there's bigger waterfalls, but
sure,
it's nice. But
in the 70s, people didn't know waterfalls really existed, so that was a big deal.
I mean, it's nice. People should go there and take a picture, but I just feel like it's been built up, and it kind of sucks. Let's be honest. It's Niagara Falls. We can get over it. It's
no Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get to Mount Rushmore later, but you know
that also kind of sucks, by the way. No, it's just there was a lot of like Niagara Falls showed up in a lot of movies. Like whoever was working the tourist industry beat for getting Hollywood to film movies there, they were aggressive. Like that was an aggressive campaign.
Right. And then we also have Lex Luthor breaking out of prison in a hot air balloon and flying to the North Pole.
Yep. Because he's figured out, and he leaves Otis behind. So
he leaves Otis behind, and Miss Tessemacher or whatever her name is shows back up, which is nice.
Yep. Yeah, it was. You got the feeling. I got the feeling in this a little bit that they couldn't, like, Otis wanted too much money or something. So they just was that even the true Otis? Or was it like a stand-in? I don't know.
No, it was the real Otis. What was his name?
Yeah. But he was bare. I mean, like he got what, like 20 seconds of screen time?
Yeah, he does some laundry. He does some work while they're trying to escape, and then they just cut him loose and then float off in the balloon.
It felt like a strange abandonment of that character, but at any rate, so they escape and they head off to the North Pole. Meanwhile, Lois is trying to trick Superman, and in kind of classic kind of 40s comics style, just throws herself off the Niagara Falls.
No. So first you get the weird jerk kid who's like walking along the rail.
Yeah, total jerk kid.
I mean, yeah, and like, and you have the mom like beating the kid, continuing the theme of like moms and parents like hitting their kids in these movies.
That's true. 2 weeks in a row, and we have some child abuse in both.
Yeah, but like the kid falls, and then Superman rescues him. But at some point, Lois cleans Clark's glasses, and she's like, you kind of look like Superman. And he's like, oh no, I don't know what that. And then let's see, he rescues the kid, and then she's a little suspicious because he's not around. And then they're walking along, and then she throws herself in. It's not at Niagara Falls, but it's like Niagara Falls adjacent, so it's just like in the river.
Yeah,
and then she just and then Clark doesn't really save her or let her know that he is saving her.
No, he just kind of pushes a stick kind of at her.
I think he uses his laser vision to like burn a branch to save her. And so so then he just kind of pulls her out, and then he himself falls in and gets wet, and then that's funny. And then he's like, oh, I'm so clumsy. And then they get back to the honeymoon suite, and then he accidentally falls in the fire, and then he's like, oh, I didn't get burned at all. And then she's like, oh, you are Superman.
Yep.
And so then the last 5 minutes are like not her being mad at him for some reason for like letting her nearly drown.
Well, it's that reporter aspect of her that is just, she's so happy she got the scoop, she figured it out. She is the world's foremost investigative reporter. So,
Yeah, but it's more that like the last 10 minutes of her are her like nearly drowning.
Sure.
But she's not embarrassed at all because she's right.
Right. Well, that's the classic Lois.
Like, yes, I would be mad if I was her.
Well, she's too happy being right. And so somehow this all just, he decides, because she now knows his secret, he'll take her up to the North Pole, which is a kind of a weird decision to make, I think. I mean, it's fine, but I mean, like, she just found out your deep, dark secret, so we might as well double down and take her to your secret headquarters. That's kind of a weird choice, I think, that he makes there.
Well, he wants to share everything with her, so yeah, okay. So meanwhile, let's see, Lex is up there in the North Pole, and he's learning everything.
He is learning everything, and he's finding out that that there may be there's weaknesses. He's learning about Jor-El. He's learning about all these different pieces, and we may be getting kind of the order of some of this stuff wrong. But the Zod has gotten to Earth, and he goes to the White House and makes the president surrender. Which, as you know,
no.
What?
No. Not in the version I saw. They like land like in like the backwater somewhere, and they like meet a snake or something, and they
we do have that. Yes, I've skipped.
They burn it or something, and they learn that they have laser powers.
Yes, that's how they find that they have powers and they're strong, as if flying around on the moon and landing on this planet wasn't a clue enough.
And let's see, they go to like a southern town or something at some point.
Yep. Yeah, because hillbillies is always hilarious.
But, I mean, and they even like go to, let's see, I mean, I don't know what the order is, but they go to like Mount Rushmore at some point, and
sure,
they like carve their faces into it, and
as you do.
They take over a southern town, and let's see.
Oh yeah, no, they do have shenanigans before that. That's true. I jumped ahead. They do some things before they get to the president.
Yeah. No, they fight the army, and they run into like some sort of a southern cop at some point or something, and they like the woman like starts stealing badges.
Yeah, because that's what that's their military background. They know if they have badges, that's their sign of authority. Which, that checks out. That's how it works on Krypton. It's all good. Depending on what version I think you watch, whether you watch the Donner cut or the other cut, so you may be seeing a slightly different movie, but that's true. So they get there, and there are some silly Southern shenanigans going on.
Right. And do they have like tractor beam powers too? Like they can like reach out their fingers and like pull guns toward them or something.
It's weird. They show the bits of that, but
there's like a whole bunch of like non-canonical powers that they have that don't seem to really make sense. And we'll get to more of that like when they're in the Fortress of Solitude,
Right. No, it's a whole strange kind of dynamic as these guys are slowly messing up. They beat the U.S. It was in Houston, so it was in Texas is where they land, and they force them to surrender, and that's how Zod gets the general of the army that was coming at him to reveal that there's a more higher authority, which is the president. So then that's where Zod's like, I'm going to go make the president
kneel down, all that stuff.
Yeah. But while that's going on, so Clark and Lois have basically gotten to the North Pole.
Right.
He's talked about everything, but he's in love at this point.
Right. So he decides he wants to be in love and he wants to be Clark Kent and not Superman, which why?
Why indeed? And even his dad's like, you're a dumbass for wanting to do this. Like his dad is like, this is really stupid what you're doing.
Why not just be Superman or just be Clark Kent? Or, I mean, why not just not tell people? Or they really don't lay the groundwork for this, I don't think.
No, it's unclear why he feels he needs to give up his powers. There's no indication of why the powers are dangerous to Lois or any of that kind of stuff. It's just like, hey, I want to boost. The closest you get is that Kryptonian men cannot bear children with Earth women. It's kind of one of the things that kind of comes out.
Do they say that?
In one of the cuts, they do.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that is, and I don't know what kind of dynamic is going on there. If he's just going to wreck up Lois, but Lois, I mean, there's been no discussion.
I mean, they do go to like the back room after he's done losing his powers, so maybe that would explain it. But
they go to breed. That's right. But I do like how the dad Jor-El's like, this is really stupid, but here's the choice, and then Clark picks I'll give up my powers, and like you see that like even Jor-El's like, fucking idiot, why did you do that? Like that is a terrible decision.
As a practical decision, I mean, you could at least like get like a snowmobile or something up there before you lose your powers, because like how are you going to get out of the North Pole like without your powers?
Yeah, there was. I mean, it seems like Clark was really determined to get to humping Lois. That was really what was on his mind. So he wasn't thinking about leaving the North Pole or food or coats or any of that stuff. It was just like, what is the fastest line to me slamming Lois?
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, I feel like there's like a break room or something in the Fortress of Solitude.
Like a vending machine.
Yeah, there's at least a vending machine or something. Yeah, I mean, it takes crystals. Everything there takes crystals.
Yeah, and he's loaded up with some crystals.
Everybody knows this.
Yeah, it all makes sense. So, but he gives up his powers, and then pretty much immediately after he gives up his powers, that's when Mount Rushmore is defaced, and the Zod shows up and basically forces the president to kneel.
Yep.
And
then at some point they get a car and they're driving back through what I can only guess is Canada. Because then they end up at a diner.
Right.
And then some trucker guy starts hitting on Lois and then starts literally hitting on Clark and beats him up.
Right.
And
Clark is surprised by this. Like, I didn't realize that losing my powers would make me susceptible to bullies. There's this surprise, like, oh my God, I can't hit him and have him fly across the room anymore. That hurt. How could this possibly have happened. And Lois is like, oh my God. And they don't say it, but she's thinking like, well,
You dummy.
yeah. It is it is bizarre. He sees on the TV that he's picked the absolute worst possible moment because now 3 Kryptonians have showed up to surrender.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, Lois has a crystal still left in her purse because she's a thief, apparently. And he's like, I got to go back now to the North Pole, but I have no powers to kind of try and get my powers back, even though my dad said there was no way.
Yeah. So, and they're just hanging out at the White House then, and then Lex goes there to try and get Australia.
Right.
Tells them to go to the Daily Planet to go get Lois Lane.
Yeah. He always wants, this is again a weird travel. So somehow Lois gets from the diner to the Daily Planet. I mean, I guess she hitchhikes. Who knows? She gets there.
Well, she takes the car and he just walks because.
And he walks. Yeah.
Sure. I mean,
why not? It's all. So he's back up now at the North Pole. Lois is back at the Daily Planet. Lex is trying to get Australia. And Zod is like, Zod is kind of turned on by the idea that the son of Jor-El may be around and he can beat him up some.
Right. He can finally get that revenge over the one person who
saved his life by sending him into space.
Yeah, sure.
Now, why not?
I mean, again, what was his crime exactly? It was like beating up a robot and breaking some crystals or something. They don't really establish what they did.
It's in the comics. It's there's more treason and sedition going on and cruelty and other things. But in the movies, it's like, it's pretty unclear. He did villainy. I think that his crime was villainy that he did. So okay. So he's done some villainy, and we got man. Saying it this way, the movie sounds a lot shittier than it was, but it's actually okay. So all things considered, stop me a moment. This was a decent sequel. I mean, this was during the times when sequels were not all bad. You had Empire Strikes Back, which was, of course, a much better sequel, and then this one, which was, improved upon the first one in several ways.
Well, now we're getting to the good part.
Yeah, and we've got the good part. So Superman does get his powers back.
Yeah, he finally gets his powers back, and then there's this nice, I guess, set piece where they're fighting around Metropolis at the Daily Planet.
Which is many of the same set pieces, of course, because they filmed these things at the same time that was used in the first movie for the helicopter crash and all the rest. They were able to reuse a lot of things.
Yeah, a lot of product placement, some Marlboro, some Coke.
All the classiest things.
Yeah. It's weird that he can hold up tectonic plates, but he can't handle a bus, getting smashed into him.
Yeah, there is that is true. His powers seem very, very flexible in this whole thing, and like he can spin the world backwards in time, which probably would have been a good go-to for this entire situation.
Yeah, again, if he could just travel, forward in time, he could, there could be 2 of them. That's again my theory is that he could just, Bill and Ted, and just have multiple versions of himself, Speed Force, just multiple versions of him.
Well, they have this. Yeah, that would be the secret to all kinds of things. So, regardless, fine. But they have this big fight. It's a pretty cool fight because the Superman's fighting basically 3 of him,
right?
And it's Superman's really on the ropes. He has some humans decide, crazy humans, to jump into the fight and help Superman out, but they are pretty much just immediately destroyed.
Yeah, they think he's dead, so they decide they're going to take the fight to them, and then they get instantly just literally blown away when they just they just blow them away. So then Superman flies off to his fortress, and then they all follow him.
But the people all think at this point that Superman is a big pussy. Like there's shots of the people like, where are you going, Superman? Superman gave up. He can't do it. And there's these like disappointed scenes of people unhappy that Superman has abandoned them because he sucks. Especially after they risk their lives to try and save him. Superman just getting out of there. It's a crashing, devastating moment for the citizens of Metropolis who realize their hero has abandoned them at their greatest moment. But at any rate, he heads back. He just flies off.
Well, after rooting for like the New York Jets for so long, they should be used to disappointment.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, it's true. Exactly. Yeah. Well done. So that's why they did bounce back pretty quickly. It's all good. So they're confused, but Ursa figures that what he's worried about are humans, and that if they had their fight in Metropolis, it would hurt humans. It would like destroy buildings and things. And Superman, nowhere in Superman's character would he want any of that. A whole logic that was definitely revisited in the current Man of Steel movie, where they just wreck the entire goddamn town.
Yeah.
But anyway, this was back in the 80s. So Zod trio. So they grab Lois, they grab Lex, and they head back to the Arctic. This movie is really a lot of going from the Arctic back to Metropolis, back to the Arctic, back to Metropolis. Like there's some frequent flyer mile trips going on here.
Yeah, it's funny how they they transport Lex and Lois. How they're like, saddling up on what's his name?
Yeah. I do like, that doesn't seem like the safest way to travel, but I guess they don't really care. So it is so Clark or Superman gets to the Arctic, followed closely by Zod and Ursa and Non, with Lois and Lex kind of in tow. And this is setting up our big kind of final battle, where he does kind of what you said, only lamer. Superman makes multiple images of himself with holograms.
Yeah, so I don't understand. Like, so he does two things. He does the hologram thing, right, and then he has like a giant plastic S that he throws at some point.
Yeah,
that doesn't. Does any of that make any sense?
Or do anything, really? Like,
well, I mean, the holograms do. I mean, they're at least there. But I mean, did they just make that up for the movie? I mean, has that ever shown up anywhere?
I mean, I couldn't tell you. It's possible. The comics had a lot of things going on. I mean, keep in mind, we had a super monkey in Supergirl. They had a Comet, the super horse, that was actually a human that became a horse and was in love with Supergirl, and she used to have kind of fantasies about it. I mean, the comics were weird, I guess is my point.
Okay. Well, there's one other superpower at the end of this movie that we'll talk about. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like superpowers that James they're also shooting like white beams out of their fingers at him, and he's blocking them with his hand. And it's like, what powers are there?
It's just whatever powers are needed for the plot to move forward, of course.
Apparently.
Yeah. So Superman does his desperate attempt to kind of to beat these people, but he can't. It's just he is outmatched.
Right. Oh, and they're also like teleporting around too, where they're like, they're phasing in and out of different places. It's not even the holograms. It's just like,
yeah,
they're all doing it. I mean,
no, it's just random powers for this moment.
Yeah, it's all random.
It's so Non basically grabs Lois and says he's going to rip her in half, which gets Superman's attention finally, because that's what he was planning to do. And he basically agrees that he will surrender.
No, he tells Lex that he has a plan where he will get into the chamber and he'll trick them all, and he'll turn off their powers
Yeah.
or something. If Lex can get them in the chamber or something, and then Lex turns on him, but he
Immediately.
knows that Lex will do that, and it's the reverse psychology double cross.
Yeah, because Superman knew that Lex would be a douche in that moment, and
Yeah.
and even though Lex has a hatred of super beings because he's a humanist, he still figures that Lex would rather have 3 superpowered Kryptonians flying around than one, where he would invariably be murdered in a slave. But sure, why not? So he tells Lex his plan. Lex spills the beans. They force Superman into the depowering chamber, but Superman has reversed the wires
Again, how did he reverse them?
really quickly.
No, wait, he reversed them. Well, I mean, I guess to get his powers back, he had already reversed them.
Right. Well, yeah, but he changed it so that the chamber, rather than being the taking away power chamber, was the protecting you from powers being taken away.
Yeah, I mean, they really could have explained this, but I mean, sure, all right, whatever. I mean,
So
okay,
he basically reconfigured the chamber to immerse the fortress in red sunlight and take away their powers. It doesn't say if this, like, did he just give Lois and Lex like super cancer as well by doing this? But
yeah, definitely. We all know this.
Lois and Lex have 2 minutes to live, but it sets up our big kind of feel good trickery moment where Superman emerges and he's acting all weak and crappy, and Zod makes him kneel because that's what Zod does, and he makes him kiss his hand, which in coronavirus times would be a terrible idea, but that's fine. And it just as he's going to kiss it, instead he decides to crush his hand to show that he has the bigger penis.
Well, as you do.
That's the way of men. The tighter the hand grip is the size of your junk. That's, everybody knows this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, but he throws him down into the crevice of the Fortress of Solitude, which I guess is the ocean. He doesn't technically kill him.
Yeah. Where does he go? He just falls into the pit.
Right. So I mean, so is the losing of powers? It's permanent, I guess, or is it? Or
I mean, whether it's permanent or not, if he has no powers, they basically plummeted to their death, right?
maybe, I guess.
I mean, they're dead there in the ocean. They were eaten by sea lions or polar bears.
Orcas? Yeah,
Orcas.
Sure.
They're eaten by orcas, and the orcas got the Kryptonian meat in them, and so we're gonna have super orcas at some point.
Well, that's a movie I want to see.
That's a movie we all want to see. So Lois gets a chance to punch Ursa, and then kind of all 3 of them go into the pit.
Yeah.
And then classic Luthor's like, "We got him. I did the triple cross with you."
Yeah.
But Superman just takes him back to jail.
Right. And in the version on HBO Max, they don't show him going back to jail, I don't think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember the version where he goes back to jail, but I don't believe that he goes back to jail in that version anymore. So,
well, see, this is the problem with these multiple cuts. Is got a bunch of different. Yeah, in the one I watched, he does go back to jail, and he just kind of flies him back, and then we're left with what to do about Lois.
Right. And so this is Superman's last power, which is that he can kiss Lois and make her forget everything.
Yeah. It's the root power.
Yeah, it's quite a power. It's like a Men in Black kind of power. Is that he can? That is a Superman power.
I like to. It is a Superman. It's a Harvey Weinstein dream. Well, that's what it is. It is Superman's own forget me now, and he kisses Lois. I like he always to kiss her. So he kisses her and erases her memories completely. Which is, and then Superman, who is not content with, he basically has slept with Lois at this point. and then had her forget it. He then decides a good encore to that would be to fly back up to Canada and just beat the shit out of that guy and destroy everything.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I've been working out.
Yeah, I love.
He goes back to the diner and just beats that truck driver up. Yeah.
He beats that truck driver pretty much to death. I mean, he's still. It doesn't show him completely murdered, but he's crashed at high speed into a pinball machine to the point where he is unconscious and cannot get up. And he, at the very least, severe brain damage is going on. So anyway, and then we get the big patriotic moment. He hoists up the flag, and he's back. That's what we got.
Yep.
Yeah, this was a crazy movie. It was interesting because part of the argument, at least with Richard Donner, was that they wanted to make the film more campy, and that was one of the reasons they removed him. But this movie had weird balances of being both campy and like some murder, like plenty of just straight up. The tone is very strange overall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as much as I love the next movie, this is the last good serious Superman movie.
Yeah, I would agree.
As far as like serious, because the third one is Richard Pryor and nothing else. So
yeah, the third one's definitely a comedy. The second one is it is that last serious movie. I mean, the fourth one was god awful. We'll get there eventually, right?
Yeah, that and Supergirl and
yeah.
I don't know what are there any other comic movies in between up to Superman 4?
No, I don't think so. I think you got Supergirl, and then you have Superman 4, and then you do have like the Fantastic Four back then, and that Captain America movie. It's funny.
No.
Yeah, exactly. When we did this first one, the people in the comments were like, "Oh, I can't wait for you to do all these super shitty movies." Like nowhere in the comments, like, "Man, I can't wait for you guys to talk about the really good movies that you wouldn't want to blow your brains out after watching." Everything was, "Hey, make sure you do Steel. Don't forget that one. Just let's don't forget Catwoman by Halle Berry. You guys got to do that." Like, thanks.
Yeah, Barbed Wire. Can't wait to see that one.
Oh, Barbed Wire, absolutely. By the way, just completely off topic of Superman, but did you watch the Harley Quinn movie, the Birds of Prey?
Yeah, I did.
So all the controversy went into that. So I was watching that on HBO Max recently, and it's a terrible movie. How did you like?
It was okay. I mean, I think it was okay to look at. I mean,
it was good to look at. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean,
but it was not an enjoyable movie. I
mean, there are movies that are just terrible and that are hard to follow and that don't make sense, and then there are movies that I just can't watch and I can't follow, and I can watch this movie. I can watch Birds of Prey, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's not for me, but it's fine. You're doing okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, I went through this opening. I'm like, I like all these characters are terrible. I'm rooting for anybody. You start looking around and you're like, hey, there's a pedestrian. I hope this guy has got like a bomb, can take everybody else out. Like, you start just rooting for anyone else to show up and do something. But anyway, so overall, Superman 2, like you said, so you're calling this the best, more serious Superman film that they've done?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I would say so myself.
I'm trying to think. Like, you go to Man of Steel, and then you go. I mean, certainly not Batman and Superman.
No. I think this is probably your top serious Superman film.
Yeah. I mean, I really like Superman 3 though. I mean,
Well,
just as a thing that I would come back to and watch. And I mean, actually, I haven't watched it in a long time, so maybe I might take that back as I rewatch it. But um,
no, it's wonderful. I'm telling you, I saw it recently, and it just it changes, but it's still wonderful. It's
I mean,
absolutely.
as somebody who works with computers, I feel like I'm going to watch Richard Pryor and I'm going to be horrified by what he does. But
No, it makes it better. I mean, I'll tell you, I watching him like plug in stuff and reroute satellites and be able to deploy copy. We'll do that review.
Yeah,
We finally there.
we're
This
finally
is
there.
our gift to ourselves. We're going to go watch Superman 3, and we're going to love that movie, and then we're going to come on. It'll just be a hour-long love fest about that movie.
Yeah, 2021, baby, we're there.
Yeah. See, everything's looking up. Everything's looking up in 2021. Well, hey, Ryan, thank you very much for taking the time to talk over this film. It's fun. We're going to get to these. Please, people in the comments, suggest some things that are not terrible for us to review. I mean, we got to get to the Blade movies. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Like, subscribe, throw in a comment, all that kind of stuff. Ryan, thank you very much, and Happy New Year.
All right. Same to you. Bye-bye, everybody.